Hey, good Tuesday evening, everyone. Wanted to do a quick video, hopefully it's kind of quick, showing you kind of in depth what we expect to have happen in the short term and in the long term. We've got a lot to talk about because it was 68 degrees today. Tomorrow it's going to be no higher than the upper 30s to around 40. There's going to be a few snowflakes before the end of the week. A lot to talk about weather-wise, so let's do a little bit of an in-depth video for you. We'll try not to make this too geeky for you, but lots of cool stuff to show you, that's for sure. Now these are temperatures at 8:30 here on this Tuesday evening, and it's still just balmy outside. It's 65 here in Youngstown, 61 in Pittsburgh, but you don't have to head too far to the west, and yep, there's the cold air. It's pretty much right along I-71 right now, kind of bisecting the state of Ohio right in through there. Of course, this is a massive Arctic cold front sneaking through the state right now, and before the night is through, of course, these cooler temperatures will get into eastern parts of Ohio and into western Pennsylvania as well. Look how cold it is out to the west of the Mississippi River. We're talking 20s, and then you run into teens, and then you run into air that's just scary cold for November. Look at these temperatures out in Wyoming and Montana. It's below zero in some of the mountainous areas out there. There's a lot of really cold colors on this map. The cold air extends all the way down into the Gulf Coast region. The front's about to go through Baton Rouge and New Orleans. It's already gone through Memphis and Nashville, and it's already gone through Cincinnati. Cincinnati earlier was in the 60s. They've dropped a good 20 degrees, and that kind of drop is going to happen here before the night is through. And look at these 24-hour temperature change numbers. Last night on the news I showed you the Denver number, which was remarkable. It was like 50 degrees colder over the 24-hour period. And the numbers are still impressive this evening. At this hour it's 30 degrees colder than 24 hours ago in St. Louis. Minus 27 is the number in Dallas. Well, here in Youngstown it's actually 9 degrees warmer than the 8 o'clock hour Monday evening. Alright, accompanying the front, yes, we got some precipitation, but it's not a lot. This is a 3-hour radar loop showing our showers pushing in. You know, this is nothing to really write home about. It's going to rain a couple of times tonight. We'll zoom in a little closer here. And the timing on this suggests that some of these showers are going to get in later on this evening. Probably as I go on the air tonight on 21 News at 11 o'clock, we'll be seeing some showers pushing through. This is kind of a thin band. You know, it's going to last a few hours in any one spot, and then we'll pretty much fade away. So a little bit of rain to contend with for tonight, and we'll show you our high-res Futurecast model here showing us what will happen overnight. There's the back edge of those showers pushing through at the latest, I think, at 2:30 or 3 in the morning. As you get up tomorrow morning, the kids are off to school, you're off to work, we will be dry. And we may even see some intervals of sunshine here and there tomorrow, but of course the temperatures are the big story. So Wednesday is an uneventful day aside from the temperature drop, and especially in the morning on Wednesday, I do think that with the isobars kind of close together like this, it'll be breezy. You're going to notice the breeze a little bit. Certainly you're going to notice the temperature drop. Alright, then we turn our attention to the end of the week and the snow shower possibilities. This is Thursday morning. At this point, the lake effect machine is going to be firing up. Initially, these bands are going to kind of be oriented west to east, kind of like this. So certainly areas to the east of Cleveland and heading over towards Lake, northern Geauga, Ashtabula counties, Erie, PA, southwest New York. Thursday's the day where they have a better chance than the rest of us to maybe see some accumulations of snow. You'll notice that kind of the primary bands here might try to sneak down into extreme northern Trumbull and into northern Mercer County at times on Thursday. Here's Thursday evening, everything starting to sink a little bit to the south as the flow changes a little bit to more of a kind of a northwest to southeast direction. I think this is mostly flurries for Youngstown and most of Mahoning County, Columbiana County, Lawrence County. The farther north you are, Thursday into Thursday night, into Trumbull and Mercer counties, you might see some small accumulations out of this. You know, someone might get an inch by Friday morning, particularly, say, north of Interstate 80, and especially north of Warren and north of Cortland. Here's Friday, and we're going to start to see some pretty decently organized lake effect streamers coming in from the north and west on Friday. And this is the day that someone outside of the primary snow belt has a somewhat better chance of getting a half an inch or an inch worth of snow. Perhaps even as far south as, say, maybe 224. You might get a coating on the grass and on car tops and that sort of thing, but I do suspect that the roads will be just fine on Friday. But a little mood snow for you to wrap up the work week on Friday, and that'll be the case right into Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and into Saturday morning as well. Here's a the North American model, the NAM model, snowfall prediction through Saturday morning. I tend to think this has a pretty good idea. It might be a little bit overdone, but it has a pretty good idea. If you take a look at the legend up here at the top, once we get into blue colors, that's 2 inches or more, and that's pretty much the northern half of Trumbull and northwestern Mercer. Again, this might be a little too far to the south with the 2-inch line. This might be more like up here. But someone in Trumbull and maybe northern Mercer County is going to get a couple of inches out of this by Saturday morning. But if you live down here in Howland and Newton Falls and Youngstown and Boardman, Poland, you know, I really think we're going to have a hard time getting more than a candy coating out of this. And then if you live down towards Lisbon and East Liverpool and heading over towards Newcastle, you know, this is mostly just a flurry event. So we'll be fine-tuning this forecast, but the bottom line is that for some of us, this may be enough to maybe brush off the car and cause a little bit of a nuisance, especially in northern Trumbull, northern Mercer, at the end of the week and Saturday morning. All right, so the longer range, if you've watched me on the news, watched my videos, you know that this is going to be a long stretch of cold weather. Here's the jet stream as we head through the next few days. Really remarkable pattern here. Looks like an omega block. If you're a real weather weenie, you may know what this is, but the Greek letter omega is kind of shaped like this, and this is what the pattern looks like. You got a big ridge poking up along the west coast, big trough west of Alaska, and then over here, yes indeed, big trough of low pressure over the northern tier of states. And of course you've heard a lot about the polar vortex again. If you hear people touting the polar vortex too much, they're probably not a reputable source of weather information. It is legitimate to say that a piece of the polar vortex has come south and has helped to drive cold air down into the U.S. But watch what happens actually as we advance this couple of days. That circular area goes away. The polar vortex is nowhere near the U.S. at the end of this week. But then there it is as we head into Sunday, starting to reemerge across Hudson Bay and really coming pretty far to the south and early on next week. Notice this thing wobbling down to the Great Lakes. So this will be the farthest south that the polar vortex, if you will, reaches early next week. This is a pattern that last January gave us really cold weather. Those were the mornings where we were 15 to 20 below with daytime highs in the single digits. This is what the jet stream looked like back in January. It's November, so not January, so instead of below zero temperatures, we're talking about a day or two next week where highs are going to be probably in the 20s and overnight lows, upper teens to around 20 degrees. So I think the coldest weather overall is Monday into Tuesday, perhaps Wednesday of next week. This is a remarkable pattern. Here's the temperatures. As you can see, there's no warmth to be found here. We're going to stop this animation next Tuesday. And high temperatures next Tuesday, yeah, might be no higher than the mid-20s. And that's a good 25 degrees below average. So pretty remarkable weather pattern we're heading into for the next week. This may end up going into the record books this year as one of the coldest Novembers on record here in Youngstown. The coldest one on record, 1976. In 1976 and in 1977 was our coldest winter on record, so it got off to a very fast start. Does that mean that's going to happen this year? Are we going to have a winter this year like 1976-77? Well, too early to say, but it's something I can't rule out. My winter forecast put out a couple of weeks ago suggested that it's going to be quite a bit colder than average, but not quite as cold as last year. That forecast may have to be updated as we get into December. If the pattern is indeed showing its hand, we might have to adjust our winter forecast to make it colder than we said a couple of weeks ago. So that remains to be seen, but so far November looking extremely cold here in eastern Ohio and western PA. Thank you for watching this video this evening. I'll see you tonight on 21 News at 11 o'clock, and if you're really into the weather, you like this kind of in-depth coverage, you can check out my daily video, Weather for Weather Geeks. It's posted around mid-afternoon each weekday.